We're at the Metropolitan Detention Center for the Los Angeles Police Department. Inside, we're going to visit the Central Property Division of the Los Angeles Police Department. Join us with Chief Charlie Beck for a discussion regarding the Chief's message for the month of January 2014. And here we are at Property Division, and let me ask you, what's the significance to Property Division to the operations of our department?
You know, we wouldn't be able to work without Property Division. Property Division is the key to all court. You know, it's the key to the way that we operate. We've had Property Division since the very beginning of the Los Angeles Police Department, and it's evolved into this state-of-the-art facility that it truly is a giant step forward for the LAPD. You know, when you look at this facility and you compare it to the old Property Division in Parker Center, there's no comparison. I mean, this is well organized, well staffed, got the best people in the police department running it, and you know, things are well done here.
What's quite remarkable, sir, is that over the years they've actually been paring down the civilian and in the sworn here, and they're still conducting business as usual with, on the average, 500 to 1,000 items a day.
Yeah, and the staffing shortages that all of our civilian employees have suffered have hit Property Division. You know, and we've had to close property rooms all over the city and consolidate, you know, and do the best we can in tough budget times. Luckily, as with all of our budget, that is starting to rebound, and I'm hoping that we can hire some more property officers this year to help some of those shortages and maybe open up some of the property rooms in the various divisions. Because that's the key. You know, I don't want to spend our officers spending their time on the freeways. I want them spending their time on the streets of Los Angeles. So, you know, getting to Property Division and to book property is not the ideal. So they have done very well with the shortages. They're still doing business. You know, we're looking at a much better property management system that will go in place and computerize and make a lot of sense out of these thousands and thousands of items. I was a young cop too, and I know that if I was left on my own devices to book that property, I was going to see it again. So, you know, I was going to get my kickback and have to redo it. But having somebody here to make sure it's booked properly so that it can be inventoried and so it can be delivered to the right piece of the police department for analyzation and all of that, super important, and we're going to get there.
It looks as if we have a very good system as well for the jail system, where the inmates can come out and they can actually pick up their excess property at a much easier and a more simplified process.
Well, that was part of the design of having this attached to the jail, and is to make it easier for people leaving the custody of the Los Angeles Police Department to pick up the property that they came in with. And so, you know, that works out well. We have a much better system. It's, you know, the old system required, you know, just it had a bunch of roadblocks in it, including location and the way that people were released and having them wander around the building. None of that happens here. All of it's much better organized. It was all well thought out.
We're going to look at the 2014 department and chief's goals. Remarkably, they're relatively unchanged.
Well, you know, Jack, I think consistency is the key. You know, I don't think that this is a police department that is so unsure of itself it's got to change its goals every year. You know, our goals are the same. We're going to reduce crime. We are going to make sure that this is the safest big city in America. We're going to make sure our employees are taken care of. You know, there's a bunch of sub-goals to that. You know, it's my goal that we restore some of our overtime pay. You know, not all of it is back to the way there was when the budget was unrestricted, but at least some of it. You know, I know our employees suffer, and especially during the holiday season. You know, so that's an important part of that. Employee wellness, making sure that we do things the right way, constitutional policing. You know, there is no wrong way to do police work. There's only one way, and it's the right way. So our goals are consistent, and people should expect that they will remain that way. You know, I know what works in LA, and so does the Los Angeles Police Department, and those are our goals.
How can we assure the residents of Los Angeles that we are going to enforce the laws, you know, by the Constitution?
Well, it is the bedrock philosophy of not only me, but of this department, that we protect the individual's rights as well as the rights of the state. You know, your rights, your property rights, all of the various rights of speech, all of those things are individual freedoms that all of us value so much in America. And that's what constitutional policing is. We don't just enforce the laws of the state, we enforce the rights of the individual. And when you remember that, when you're conducting yourself as a Los Angeles police officer, you'll do things the right way naturally.
So when we're talking about the crime rate, you know, the crime prevention and the crime reduction, honestly, sir, after a decade of reduction, how are we going to wring out those percentages that you're asking of us down in the streets?
You know, this is the 11th straight year of crime reduction in the city of Los Angeles. And I think that people can't look at this as how we're going to top last year, you know, because that's not the way to look at it. Just look at it this way. We are changing Los Angeles. This police department is changing the reality of safety in Los Angeles. And reducing crime next year, which we will do, is a continuation of that.
The preparedness for natural disaster and also terrorism. Everybody's going to ask you, are we ready, sir?
You know, we are ready. Now, does that mean that everything will get handled perfectly and that we can anticipate every possible scenario? No. But what it means is that we are a fit and we are a ready police department that can adapt to whatever circumstance occurs and have plans that can be put in place to make sure that this city stays safe.
So then we talk about wellness, and you're going to talk about your employees, I'm assuming. What does that mean generally?
Well, the only resource I have, you know, hey, this is a great building. You know, we have some new cars. You know, we have a big budget. But the real only resource is you, the Los Angeles police officer, the civilian employee. That's my resource. If I don't take care of that resource, then we will never succeed as a police department.
What about maintaining the numbers on the department? You know, there was a recent news article about finding a difficult time in getting the right candidates.
Well, we always are looking for the right candidates. You know, it's not just about raw numbers, although we do need the numbers. You know, the mayor is committed. Mayor Garcetti is committed to the strength of the police department. You know, we are working with personnel department to maintain that strength. We will maintain the strength. We're starting a new police academy next month, as we will continuously do to make sure that we maintain the strength of this police department, which is one of our goals. Wear your seatbelt. Practice getting in and out of it. If your partner's not wearing his or her seatbelt, remind them to wear their seatbelt. I'll be reminding you, your bosses will be reminding you, and it isn't because we want to slow you down. We don't. I want you to be effective. But I also want you to be like me. I want you to do as many years on this police department as you want. And I don't want you in a wheelchair, and I don't want you in a cemetery. I want you healthy. And I want all of you to have a great Christmas, a great New Year's. Wear your seatbelts, take care of your partner, have a great year. By the time you see this, the holiday season will be over. We'll be starting 2014. 2014 is going to be a great year for the Los Angeles Police Department. We're going to be beginning to see the economy turn around. All of you are going to feel that. You're going to feel good about being a police officer in Los Angeles. I'm proud of all of you. Have a great year.